Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good people. Yeah, you know what it is. Hard worker, scrappy, unfiltered, and sometimes unhinged football content. Hard to explain, but you know it when you see it. Doing it daily our way. I don't know what you're talking about right now. Redraft and Dynasty Fantasy Football, we got you covered. You know their defense is ranked like 31st in the NFL. NFL draft prospects and rookies. Now you know you in the right place for that.
Absolutely.
All right, then stop saying it. Then we're done. And prop bets with my man JRich. Count that money, man. Now wipe the crust out of your eyes. Get you a cup of coffee. It's time to wake your ass up with Ray G. You honestly are making absolutely no sense and you sound silly as hell. Good morning. Let's go, baby. Good morning. JRich, we in the building, baby. The greatest of all time. Woo! I got to wear the jacket. Good morning, good people. It is Wednesday, February 8th. It's a historic day. It's a monumental day because we get to celebrate the greatest basketball player of all time, becoming the all-time leading scorer. King James, baby. I still got the receipt. I still got the tag.
You got the tag on it.
I still got the tag on the jacket because I haven't worn it, baby. LeBron James, go James, passing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar last night. Man, it's gonna be a great day. It's gonna be a fan. Nothing y'all can say. Y'all can talk about our big board all you want. Talk about these draft picks all you want. But it's a good day. I'm keeping this jacket on all day long. The king is in the mother effing building, baby. Let's get it, man. Welcome. This is Wake Up with Ray G. Thank y'all for joining us this morning. Who we got in the building? What haters do we have in here this morning? Let's see who's hating in here this morning. What's going on, Fizzle? What's up, Seth, Adam, Dan, Marlon, Cold World, Clay's in the building. We got a lot of people in here. Ty in the building, Goat Rings in the building, Chris. Let's get it, baby. Good morning to everybody. Yeah, it's going to be a good day. We got a good show lined up for you, but no doubt about it, LeBron freaking James, man, the king. The king did it last night. Witnessing history, you know, as we, whether you think he's the best or not, you know, everybody that's on this show, we have lived through some historic moments in just sports history, whether that's Messi, whether that's Tom Brady, LeBron James, Tiger Woods, Serena and Venus Williams, Michael Phelps. I mean, just Usain Bolt. The list goes on and on and on. So as we predominantly talk football on this show, just appreciate what we've witnessed in our lifetime, man. It's truly just incredible. The GOATs that we've got to see play in our generation, in our era. And above all things, man, I just appreciate good sport. No matter what it is. And I've got to live and witness some of the most historic feats that we've ever seen, some records that may never be touched, whether it's NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball. We've witnessed great. So this is just dope, man. This is just dope. So Jay, how you doing this morning? You know I'm in a good mood, baby.
Are you good? I was wondering, did you need me to like filibuster a little bit, let you catch your breath? Is your Achilles okay? That's one thing I was worried about as you're doing your LeBron celebration there. But yeah, and I actually watched it. It was a little lengthy of a ceremony. I'm not a big fan of the big ceremonies, but I get it. Maybe I'm a hater. No, I don't. Even with the Steph one, I was like, this is a little much. But I was thinking about that actually. Isn't it crazy that Steph broke the 3-point record before LeBron broke the scoring record? And I think that really symbolizes the change in the NBA over the course of history, right? But yeah, no, shout out to LeBron. I don't think anyone's going to break his record. Load management won't have it, right? Load management will not have anybody break the scoring record. Even Kevin Durant probably has very little shot at getting it. And they're neck and neck in points per game.
I think the next closest like player within like 10,000 of him that's like is like Shaquille O'Neal. Like there's no one even close. He's gonna end up with 40,000 points. But shout out to LeBron, man. One of my favorite athletes of all time. Was happy to watch that last night. But Jay, got a lot to get to. We got any news? You got any news for us, Jay? We got some news?
We got some news. Some things to talk about for sure.
All right. Well, let me get you set up, and then we'll get into straight facts. I gotta roll it, man. I'm all discombobulated.
The biggest news in the world of sports. Covered and brought to you by one man, Jordan Richards. This is Straight Facts, presented by Michelle Adoro. All right, Ray. So we did set some coaching hirings in the NFL. Brian Flores was hired to be the DC of the Minnesota Vikings. Now, also, our dear friend of the show, Jordan Reed, was talking about the Vikings potentially taking one of the very highly touted corners in this upcoming draft to help bolster that defense. We know how badly they do need secondary help, and bring in Brian Flores and his aggressive scheme. He suggested that we may look to see the Vikings take a corner high in the NFL draft this year. As well, Steve Wilks was hired to be the replacement to D'Amico Ryans in San Francisco, so he gets a new gig in a great spot to show again why he is a great coach for the San Francisco 49ers. The Titans promoted their passing game coordinator, talk about a no-show position in Tennessee, as their OC, and Ryan Tannehill was apparently excited about the hiring. In my opinion, we'll see, right? Are they going to pass the ball anymore now? And I thought Ryan Tannehill was supposed to be out the door, so not really sure how that happened, but with Malik Willis's play, I can't say I'm surprised. Matt Ryan is reportedly open to coming back to the NFL next season, which, yeah, not really happy to hear that. And then the Cardinals, right, their head coaching search is basically down to Mike Kafka, the OC of the Giants, and Lou Anarumo, the DC of the Bengals. I don't really know if I care who gets that job. I think it's more interesting that we're hearing so many reports now that people don't want to go there because of Kyler Murray and his contract. That is very interesting, and it feels like whoever gets this job may not be there for very long. Aaron Rodgers is headed to a darkness retreat.
Oh my
Didn't say where it was.
Stay away.
He was on Pat McAfee's show, said we'll see what happens with Aaron Rodgers. We probably won't hear a report from him for a little while as to whether or not he's going to come back. As well, A.J. Green retired. So 11 seasons of A.J. Green, pretty dominant peak as far as wide receivers go. Shout out to A.J. Green. And then, of course, LeBron breaking the record, which you led the top of the show with. So I don't need to really get into that much.
Man, yeah, I'm just so tired of Aaron Rodgers, dude. Like, I am sick of him. He's got to go to a dark place to thinking about if he wants to come back. I'm just so tired of Aaron Rodgers. Can we get him out of here? Like, hey, man, hey, Jay, tell the truth, man. Leo said I ran out and bought this jacket last night. Did I buy this jacket last night, Jay?
I'm not going to embarrass you with why you bought the jacket, but I will tell you guys for a while, and it's the first time I've ever seen it. So it's been in hiding. It's still got the tags on, but he finally had a moment to bust it out. So here it is, the famous Mitchell & Ness jacket that Ray bought. And yeah, it's in the building finally after what, a year and a half now?
Little over, yeah, about a year and a half. It's been in the closet, but we had a chance to bring it out. No, I did not watch it on the Epson, Leo. I did not watch it on the Epson. It was late. I was in the bed. But you need to get you one of those Epsons. Epson.com/wake up. Go check it out, man. It's freaking dope. I'll tell you that. But let's talk about Matt Miller, Jay, who put out a mock right after our Monday show. I think it came out a few hours later.
All news breaks after the Monday show.
Right after the damn show, man. We can never, I got to talk to Jay Reed about that, man. We can never get it live or get it before the show. It always comes out on Monday. But he put out a 2-round mock. So what we are going to do today is go through that 2-round mock, and then we're going to build our big board out. We're going to build out a top 15 big board based on that mock. So sort of like a mock draft, but we'll be able to move stuff around a little differently. We'll get some input from y'all, the viewers, and let us know if these players are too high or too low based on the landing spots from Matt Miller's mock. So Jay, let's pop it off. So at the top of Miller's mock, he has the Indianapolis Colts trading with Chicago and selecting Bryce Young as QB1. Yeah. Right now, there's a lot of talk about Bryce. Here's the thing. The only knock on Bryce Young, the only knock is the size. And there's reports that he's bulking up, trying to get to 210. Who knows what he's going to be? I don't know. But right now, he's got Bryce Young going to Indy at 1. And the Houston Texans chilling at 2. They take their quarterback of the future, Jay, Will Levis, out of Kentucky. And then at number 9. So the top 3 quarterbacks off the board, Bryce Young, Will Levis, and then C.J. Stroud off the board at 9 to the Carolina Panthers. You also, what's cool about this and what I'm looking at and y'all can't see is Jay has Lance Zierlein sort of notes and landing spots for these players underneath Matt Miller's mock. So talk about where Lance really quickly had Young, Levis, and Stroud.
Yeah, so Lance, of course, dropped his first round mock. Same time, basically, in the morning. It's mock season. But he had no trade in Chicago, so no one trading up to number 1. So he had Bryce Young going at 2 to Houston. He had Will Levis going number 7 to Vegas. And then he had CJ Stroud going number 4 to Indy. So a lot of spots we've seen fairly recently. Again, different order. Will be probably a trade with Chicago, but a lot of similar landing spots for these top prospects.
All right, Bijan Robinson, running back out of Texas, going 10 overall to Philly. Talked to a lot of people from Philly in Mobile, and it doesn't seem like that's the direction that they're going to go in. But Bijan Robinson, number 10 overall to the Philadelphia Eagles. Houston, with their second first-round pick, they add one of the best wide receivers in this class, Jordan Addison, at 12. And that is the first wide receiver off of the board in Matt Miller's mock. And then we have an interesting choice, and Jay, I don't really know how I feel about the landing spot per se, but the capital would be fantastic. Anthony Richardson, quarterback out of Florida, 16th overall to the Washington Commanders. And then rounding out the top 20, we get another wide receiver off the board. Right now, currently, my wide receiver 1 in the class, Ohio State wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba, number 20 to Seattle. Jay?
I mean, this is really crazy, right? To think about Bijan Robinson, the range of outcomes for him is somewhere in the range of 10 all the way down to 30, 31. Then you talk about Anthony Richardson to Washington. I don't know how to feel about it, Ray. Ron Rivera coaching him. Well, Lance had him going to the Bucs, and so I got to ask you, he had them going to the Bucs at 19. Which spot would you prefer? Anthony Richardson on the Buccaneers or on Washington? Both are kind of questionable spots for me.
Can I pick neither? I'd rather neither. Definitely not the Buccaneers in that system that's going on. No, thank you. I do like Addison to Houston, pairing him up with Will Levis in this mock. I think that would be good. Get Will another weapon. We know they need weapons in Houston all over the place. My issue with Washington is I don't think Ron Rivera, with another subpar to losing season, I don't think he retains that job. They already made him fire his offensive coordinator, which is like, hey, man, get a new OC, fix this, or we're going to go in another direction. So I would not want Rich in a spot where he could be having a new head coach, and the new head coach that didn't draft him is kind of like, I really didn't want this guy. You know, that Drake May out of North Carolina looks really good next year. I'd probably rather have my own groceries to cook in the kitchen. So I just don't like either of those spots in particular, but I love the capital that Richardson has. And at this point, we can stop with the completion percentage, 13 career starts. He's probably going to be a first-round pick. Like, at least that's what it feels like right now, is Richardson's going to be a first-round pick in the draft. At number 22, the Baltimore Ravens select Quentin Johnston in Miller's mock, followed by the New York Giants taking Jalen Hyatt at 25. The Cincinnati Bengals, the rich get richer. They go Michael Mayer at 28, and the Philadelphia Eagles get their right tackle / tight end of the future in Darnell Washington out of Georgia. You want to talk about any of these picks and where Zierlein had these guys, JRich?
So what's interesting is Zierlein did also have Quentin Johnston going to Baltimore, but he was not the wide receiver 1. JSN was not the wide receiver 1. It was Jalen Hyatt, Ray. And maybe we can get into this more with the big board, but Zierlein took a ton of flack on Twitter about having Jalen Hyatt, who was drafted at 12 to Houston, in that spot where Matt Miller had Jordan Addison. And I think, his case was there's no alphas in this class, so you take the guy with some of the best traits, and Jalen Hyatt is definitely that. So I'm curious how people would feel about that, because I think initially you'd get the Henry Ruggs comp, you'd get, some Will Fuller comps, and that's kind of the direction he was going. But in a lot of NFL ways, it makes a lot of sense. That's where the fantasy and the NFL side is very different. Taking Quentin Johnston, a JSN, a Jordan Addison, if you don't believe they're an alpha, isn't necessarily better for your NFL franchise than taking a Jalen Hyatt.
So one more time, for those of y'all who may have missed it, Zierlein has Jalen Hyatt, wide receiver out of Tennessee, as wide receiver 1. Number one. Jalen Hyatt, number 1. And he definitely was questioned about that pick, and went on Twitter to explain that selection of Jalen Hyatt, and JRich kind of sort of just backed up the case that Zerline made. I don't think you're agreeing and saying that he's your wide receiver one, but you just illustrated his rationale for having him at one, right? All right. Second round, really quick. Second round, the Houston Texans took Dalton Kincaid at 33, tight end from Utah. Chicago Bears get Justin Fields some help with Zay Flowers out of Boston College at 35. Atlanta, love this pick for Atlanta at 44. They take Josh Downs. Green Bay, I mean, love it. Green Bay takes Luke Musgrave, tight end out of Oregon State. Zerline also had him in the first round to Green Bay, but 15th
same pick
overall.
for the first round.
15th
And tight end one.
Overall for Luke
Tight end
Musgrave.
one ahead of Michael Mayer, who was 18th overall to Detroit. And then you talk about the next pick, Detroit taking Sam Laporta in the second round in Matt Miller's mock. But Ray, this one is very interesting. How would you feel about Hendon Hooker going to Seattle in the second round, which is what Matt Miller has, 52 overall? A lot of reports in Mobile that Hooker did very well in his interviews and could be even the third best quarterback in this draft class potentially.
I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know how to feel about Hendon Hooker. A lot of people that I trust, man, in the college space, Jay, they think the Josh Heupel system that he ran is just a gimmick. They're like, this is a gimmick offense. He never had to read defenses. I don't think anybody's denying the talent of Hendon Hooker, but maybe his ability to, I don't know, operate a more pro-style offense, I guess. He's going to be, if he misses this season, he'll be, 26 before his first NFL start? If he starts at the beginning of the 2024 season? I don't know, Jay. I don't know.
It's tough, and it's a tough decision in rookie drafts, right? Like, we're talking about our big board today. He probably wouldn't make our top 15, but if he goes in the second round and you're willing to wait, he is a quarterback, not maybe top 15, but you're getting close if the right scenario.
Somebody posted in our Discord yesterday the list of quarterbacks that have been drafted in round 2. It was Mike from 4D, South Harmon, man. Shout out to Mike. List of quarterbacks drafted in the second round since 2010. The only ones that are worth a damn was Jalen Hurts. I know Kyle Trask was in there. Christian Hackenberg was in there. The list just wasn't great. You had a couple that were okay, that have turned out to be really good, but for the most part, you just want first round quarterbacks. I don't know, man. I don't know how high I could put Hendon Hooker, even with this pick. I don't know, dude. All right, let's finish it up so we could build the board out, right? Detroit Lions, and this would send the fantasy world in a frenzy. There was a trade with Minnesota, and Detroit grabs Jahmyr Gibbs, running back out of Alabama. Jacksonville Jaguars get Trevor Lawrence another weapon, like he needs any more, but they take Rashee Rice out of SMU. Carolina gets Tyler Scott, one of the fastest wide receivers in this class, out of Cincinnati at 61. And the Kansas City Chiefs, they go back to the they go to the South Dakota State well, and it worked well for the team that they're playing against in the Super Bowl with Dallas Goedert. So they said, you know what? Let's get Tucker Kraft and find our heir apparent to Travis Kelce, because Jody Fortson nor Noah Gray are it. So that rounds out the first. What's interesting about these early mocks, Jay, and I anticipate things changing after the combine, but you know who we're not seeing in these mocks, any mocks? I don't think we've seen this. Zach Charbonnet, Sean Tucker, Zach Evans, Kendre Miller. We haven't seen those guys
almost never
in any of them. We've seen some A-Chain slide in there. We've seen a Kenny McIntosh slide in one of these in the second round. I haven't seen Charbonnet once. Have not seen Kendre Miller inside the top 60, 62 one time. Not once, man. Not one time. Zach Evans, 0. Sean Tucker, 0. What's another running back that we like? Who's another running back that we like?
I mean, Izzy, we haven't seen in the second at all.
Izzy's not going in the second round. It's not happening. All these players that we like.
And
right?
Tajay as well, right? Tajay's not.
Yeah,
you think after the Senior Bowl, maybe someone would go crazy?
Well, Tajay be in round 1 based on fantasy sentiment here very soon. So we'll make sure that we get the big board to reflect that. So we kind of went through the mock quickly because I want to spend a lot of time, or majority of the show, sort of building out our board, Jay. So with these landing spots in mind, let's go over to the Draft Network, and they got a dope big board. Let's get you back on the screen, Jay. That's my bad, dog. Let's get you back on the screen, and let's build out our big board based on this mock. So we're going to SilverFlex, right? Oh, man, SilverFlex. Here we go again. Yeah, SilverFlex. Yuck. Yeah, disgusting. All right, Jay. Bijan at number 10 overall is the 101, right? Like, let's just build him out. He's number 1. So we got Bijan at 1 on the big board. Talk to me about what you would do at 2. And the dope thing about this is we can play around and move this around. It'd be a fun exercise, and we'll let the people kind of chime in as well. Talk to me about what you're doing at 2. SilverFlex, where you going? Bryce Young, who went number 1 to the Colts. You going Jahmyr Gibbs. You going a receiver. Where you going?
So this is tough. Man, between Bryce in Indy or Stroud in Carolina, I think I would stick to my guns today and take Stroud. I talked about how I like Stroud in Carolina. I do like Bryce in Indy, though. It's Houston is the spot that I'm kind of don't know how to feel about it. I don't know if they're going to really build around them in the first draft. Now they do have Addison going there, so that is a slight help to that offense. But Levis in Houston, I'm not quite there. I will take Stroud. I think he's the safest pick. We've talked about this before, one of the safest picks in the draft in terms of quarterback play. And if you do take him this high in a rookie mock or in a rookie draft, I think you will return some investment on him. So I'd be willing to take him there. Curious your thoughts if you would take Bryce in Indy with the next pick, having him over CJ Stroud.
Well, let's talk about it. All right, so Bryce Young to Indy. Stroud went 9 to Carolina.
It's very close for me, very close. Like I think you could make the case for either one, and I think we've talked about this a lot. It's just Houston. I don't really love Bryce Young going to Houston.
Bryce didn't. But if he goes to Indy, go to Houston in the mock, Jay.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. We see Bryce to Houston a lot.
We're talking about based on this mock. So Bryce went to Indy, so we're not even worried about Bryce to Houston. So Houston shouldn't factor into the slotting of Bryce Young at all in this exercise. I don't trust Jim Irsay. I don't trust Jim Irsay.
That's fair.
I don't trust Jeff Saturday.
Yeah.
But Jonathan Taylor, Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman Jr., Jelani Woods. There's a lot of weapons to play with in Indy. So for me, I'll leave your selection of Stroud. We'll leave Stroud there. I probably would have Bryce at 2, but let's continue to build this out. So you got Stroud at 9, Bryce number 1 overall, 3 on the big board. Where are we going at 4? Are we going Will Levis? Are you going Jahmyr Gibbs? Are you going a receiver? What are you doing at 4?
If it's SilverFlex, I think I'd have to take Levis here. I just think that
over Richardson.
Yeah, I think I still would. I don't know if Washington, man, like even the Bucks, like I think I want him in Carolina. I mean, he's probably not going to end up in Carolina, but I think I want him in Carolina. I know you feel differently. I'm kind of still firmly with Levis ahead of Richardson if the gap in draft capital is that big, going from 2 all the way down to 16. That's just where I'm at. I think you would feel differently about that. But, Washington I don't think is a great spot. I don't mind the weapons. I don't know what to think about him right now. I really don't. If he goes top 10, even potentially top 5 somehow, then I think you can make the case. But taking a guy who is probably just as raw, who went 16 over a guy who went number 2, I don't know if the situation's much different for the Bucks. Slightly better receivers, but the long-term outlook is still pretty rough for the Bucks.
Okay. So Levis went number 2 overall to Houston. JRich went 16th overall to Washington. Do you have any issue with JRich at 5? SilverFlex, big board. Any issue with JRich at 5? Because no. Would you feel comfortable moving Richardson and Levis?
Moving them? Oh, you want to move someone up?
Well, I don't know. Let's build it. We'll play around with it later. All right. Now it gets interesting at 6 because for most people, Jahmyr Gibbs is RB2, and I'm fine. I'm on board with that. But in this mock, Gibbs didn't go off the board, Jay, till where'd he go? 55 to Detroit. They still have Jamal Williams. They still have DeAndre Swift. What are we doing here? Is it Addison? Is it JSN to Seattle? Quentin Johnson to Baltimore? I don't love it. Hyatt to the Giants. Is Gibbs at 55, outside of a top 50 pick to Detroit? Would you take him at 106? Would you put him at 106 on the big board, or would you go receiver?
I think you have to consider receiver here.
Jay.
See, based off of this, right? My conundrum is, do I believe he's going to get that much work with DeAndre Swift still there? Like you mentioned, Jamal Williams could come back. I don't know. I think if I'm saying Jahmyr Gibbs is going there in the second round, Jamal Williams is probably gone, at which point Gibbs will get a decent share of the workload. But it would be tough for me to fade Addison at 12. We've seen these top 15 receivers do a lot of work in the NFL early. I know it sounds crazy. This is really, if we're just talking the actual draft, it's a trade down spot. But if you wanted to take Addison, I don't think I could blame you. I don't hate Levis as a quarterback, and I think he's going to be his number one target if he's drafted at 12. So if you think you're going to get a guy who's walking into 120 targets in his rookie year, we've seen a lot of success from a lot of rookies who are high first-round picks. I don't think it's a bad pick to take Addison. It feels safe, but Gibbs in Detroit just doesn't move me like that.
Okay, well, let's keep it going then, Jay. So you're not moved by Gibbs in Detroit in the second round. So who's next up? Are you going JSN to Seattle here at 7 on your board?
I don't know, man. I think at that point, I think I'd look at Gibbs because I'd want the running back in the Detroit system. We're talking about a guy who could walk into an alpha target share versus two guys who probably won't in Quentin Johnston and Jack Smith and Jigba. Love JSN, my wide receiver one, no doubt right now, but it's a very different situation playing with.
What's that look like with him and
wide receiver two?
When I say I'm sweating, holy hell, Jay! It is hot with this with this jacket on. It is hot. It is hot. We gotta take it off. All right, you said
There's a difference between competing with targets with Nico Collins and DK Metcalf, right? There's a big difference there. So that's why I've been kind of not sour on the Seattle landing spot, but it's not going to be as rosy, I think, as people think. So I would be willing to take Jahmyr Gibbs if you believe he can get the 55% RB share, because then he'll be valuable, right? We know the offense is great. He can catch passes in the backfield. I think retaining Ben Johnson is huge. And I'm not that big on Quentin Johnston. Now, would you make the case for Hyatt at some point going to the Giants if he could be the wide receiver one for that team? Would you prefer that over a Quentin Johnston in Baltimore, who, if they retain Lamar Jackson, I don't really want him at all. I don't know if he's much better than Rashad Bateman. And then JSN playing behind DK Metcalf in what would probably be about a 100-target season for him if everything goes right, but a bit ceiling capped because, again, of the offense and not being next to DK Metcalf.
Where did QJ go? He went to Baltimore?
22 to Baltimore. So he's automatically down my board. I mean, he's going to be down my board regardless.
I kind of disagree with you, man. I think
we're doing this again. We did this with Bateman, and you want to do it again with Quinn Johnston? Hop back into the flames? That's my only problem, right?
I'm just asking the question. JSN, DK's there. DK's not going anywhere. They want to run the ball with Kenneth Walker. They still have Tyler Lockett. I love JSN, but with that land, it was only 2-pick difference. So they got drafted in the same range, right? I don't really care about that. But I just think there's a greater chance for Quentin Johnston to come in and become the alpha in Baltimore opposed to JSN. Let's first of all, let's stop using the alpha term, right? Like, to come in and be the leading target getter on that team, to command the highest percentage of targets in Baltimore, then Jackson Smith.
Can he be the leading target? Can he be the leading target getter though?
I think he could.
Because there is still Mark Andrews, right? He can be the wide receiver one, right?
Yes.
Which is still a wide receiver 2 role in an offense. So they may run a whole new offense. They're going to get a new OC, but so in my opinion, Ray, I don't know if I would take QJ over Bateman. I know we've seen a Bateman has not been great, but if you're telling me I'm picking between 2 receivers in that offense, I think I like that offense more personally.
You like who?
I like Bateman in a Ravens-style offense more than a QJ. I think what he does well in the short area and in the mid-range versus QJ, who's kind of a short and then obviously can stretch the field.
All right. Well, I'm making an executive decision here. I'm moving Quentin Johnston ahead of Jahmyr Gibbs and JSN. Like, I'm fine with the land. He gets that type of capital. I'm not worried about anybody in Baltimore, dude. I'm not worried about DeMarcus Robinson or Deshaun Jackson or Devin Duvernay or James Prochet or any of those guys. I'm not even worried about Bateman, man. This is year 3 of Bateman and the inability to stay healthy. I think this is a sneaky good spot. I know people, oh my God, they're not going to throw the ball. I mean, Hollywood played pretty goddamn well whenever he was bombs away with Lamar. So I think I'm gonna move QJ ahead of Gibbs with the capital and ahead of JSN. Now you talked about Jalen Hyatt. Jay, we're just doing this based off the mock. Hyatt at
in New
10?
York. I don't hate it.
Or do you want to go? Or do you want to go off the beaten path and just call your shot on some other running back being there? But we're basing it off. Are you going to fade the 25th overall pick paired with Brian Daboll and Daniel Jones in an ascending offense for, let's say, at best a 3rd or 4th round running back? Are we going to do that in fantasy? Like, just is that what's going to happen? If Hyatt is the 25th overall pick to the Brian Daboll offense, because which we are not good at prospect evaluation as far as future, like we don't fucking know. Like we have no idea. Are we going to just be like, nope, don't want Hyatt, everybody? Because it's dump on Jalen Hyatt season, right? Like it is dunk on Jalen Hyatt season right now. Are we just going to say, nope, don't want a 1st round wide receiver at all? I'll fade him.
Not in this case, no. I would have to take him. I do like the Giants landing spot a lot. We've seen Addison go there, and I like it. We've seen QJ go there. I do like that. If Hyatt does go there, I think he could replace Darius Slayton quickly and run those deep post routes that they run a lot that are very successful in that offense that we've seen be very great for fantasy. And I think he could take that job and run with it. My next running back would probably be Zach Charbonnet, not knowing landing spot. But again, it's the only spot I think that you could make a case for potentially would be if someone that we really like goes to Miami, because we do like the landing spot for Miami quite a bit. But outside of that, I don't think I could really make the case for anybody else. I know you may make the case for A-Chain. Again, if he doesn't go to Miami, I probably wouldn't consider it. And even still, I like the Hyatt landing spot in New York. So I probably wouldn't put anyone above him there. But I'd say there's a tier break now, talking about pretty much all the 1st round players are gone. And, well, outside of the tight ends, obviously. And then now we're getting into the 2nd round receivers and the Zay Flowers, the Josh Downs, and then the Rasheed Rice is coming up next.
All right,
unless, of course, we do go running back.
Let's talk about Flowers, Downs, and Rice. How would we build those guys out on the board? Zay Flowers, he went top of the 2nd to Chicago. Some people think he's a 1st round pick. Rasheed Rice went at the back of the 2nd to Jacksonville at 56. And Josh Downs, listen, man, I had no idea, Jay. Do you know Olamide Zaccheaus had 115 targets last year and almost had 1,000? Bro, I bullshit you not. I had no idea, Jay. This dude almost had 1,000 yards last year. I'm almost positive because I'm in a draft right now. Let's look up old Olamide Zaccheaus. I can't even spell his name. I think he had I know he had 114, 115 targets, damn near 1,000 yards last year. So if you replace Olamide Zaccheaus with Josh Downs in that offense where there's no Ridley, we know it's just really Drake London. Talk to me about Flowers, Downs, and Rice. How would we order these guys?
I think Rice would probably be last.
Okay.
I think it's just because of the targets there. I'm not putting him over Ridley. I'm not putting him over Christian Kirk. If Evan Ingram, heaven forbid, returns, and they do have them drafting a tight end in this mock. So again, another reason to kind of fade that situation a little bit. I think it's a good spot though for Downs. I would probably be inclined to take Downs there. So, Ray, I think the question is that do we believe Justin Fields and Luke Getsy in this offense can really take a leap passing the ball to where we would draft Zay Flowers here? Because that's the biggest hurdle for us in fantasy, is as much as we like Jalen Hurts, as much as we like Justin Fields for fantasy, he needs to take a Jalen Hurts level jump in order to be this productive as a passer. Bringing in Zay Flowers, I don't think makes that situation that much better. I don't know how much it helps them.
61 targets. I'm lying. I'm over here spreading fake news.
This is high level stuff from old Ray G, fake news boy. But yeah, so I would probably lean on Josh Downs here. I don't think the Atlanta offense is as bad as people think it is, and that's just kind of the way I would lean.
You don't think the Atlanta?
I don't think it's this bad. They do need a quarterback, and that's a big concern. But I think if they do go with Ritter, they will pass the ball more and they will have success. There is Drake London, there is Kyle Pitts.
It's pretty bad.
But I still don't. Would you rather play in an offense with Kyle Pitts and Drake London, or would you rather play with Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet? I think the projection for Justin Fields is lofty. I think it's still lofty today.
So, talk to me. Downs, Hyatt, Flowers, Rice. We got Rice at 13. Downs.
We got Hyatt first. I'm taking Hyatt over Downs.
Okay. Flowers over Downs too?
Yes. No, really? Sorry. No. Downs over Flowers for me. In this situation.
You just pumped up Flowers to Chicago.
No, I don't know how to feel about it. I don't know what to do. I think taking him at 12 is okay. But I think my question for you, Ray, is what running back would you put ahead of Rashee Rice? Because I think that's the spot where you can make the case for a running back.
Well, no running backs went in the 2 rounds of this mock, but who do you think? Call your shot. And I know it's February the 8th, right? It's February 8th. So a lot of stuff is going to change between now and the NFL draft at the end of April. I think the combine will really start to sort out some stuff for us once we see how big these guys are. Not necessarily concerned with the speed, because I think we got a good idea of who's going to run fast and who's not. Call your shot right now. Who's going to be the 3rd running back off the board in the NFL draft?
Ooh, in the NFL draft.
Who do you think is going to be the 3rd back off the board? I believe last year it was James Cook.
That's what I'm saying. It makes me think it could be Kenny McIntosh for the same type of reasons. If it was me, I would pick Charbonnet. I think he's the most NFL-ready back of anybody, but you don't see him there, right?
Charbonnet, but I've not seen Charbonnet in any round 2 yet. Not one time.
Yeah.
Not one time. Man.
Yeah, like maybe we see A-Chain, but we barely see him in these mocks in the 2nd round. I think those are the guys you're looking at, probably a pass-catching back. And we'd even talk about, we could see more receivers in the 2nd round that we don't expect, right? Some of these faster guys like Tyler Scott. Like, I don't even know where we value him.
Yeah, where
he's
we
2nd round receiver. We need more context because we don't value him overly high, but he's 2nd round receiver. So we have to kind of give him some respect there. To Carolina, again, wide receiver 3 or 4 on that offense. Whether it's A-Chain, McIntosh, Charbonnet, that's probably the 3 I would go with. Based off what we're seeing, I think Kenny could be the guy who is RB3, but it's tough, man. There's a lot of things to still figure out and a lot to still decipher. I think Charbonnet is the best running back and the most ready running back, but doesn't mean he's going to be the 3rd running back off the board.
Would you take any of these tight ends at the top of the 2nd? And most of us play in tight end premium leagues. Let's just say 1.5. I don't want to get too crazy. I know a lot of people out there aren't playing in 2 point per reception or start 2 tight ends. But, I mean, in a 1.5, would you even consider any tight end with a top 15 pick, top 20 pick?
Top 20, yes. Top 15,
no.
Probably not, no. Okay. I mean, if you're telling me Luke Musgrave goes in the 1st round of the Packers, I do like that spot. Mayer to the Bengals, I guess. Maybe they get rid of T. Higgins.
Bro. This is so difficult.
Dalton Kincaid to Houston.
I know people.
Again, there's a lot of things that could go right, but there's a lot of things that could go wrong, too, taking some of these tight ends. And that's where it's tough. You don't really want to just call your shot on a tight end and be absolutely wrong.
You know what's difficult about this, and everybody watching, it's like it doesn't matter who you look, whether it's our mock drafts, whether that's I'll be on BDGE with Nick Ercolano on Friday. We're doing a 2-round mock. My boy Kevin Coleman at the Boys 22, they do mocks right now because there's so limited information, and most of these mocks are just 1 round, or you might get 2 rounds of mocks. It is just up in the freaking air, man, of where these players are going. I'm seeing A-Chain in some mocks as high as the 109 and as low as the 210. I'm seeing Zach Charbonnet 112 to the back of the 2nd. So it's difficult right now because we don't have a lot of information, and you're just we're sort of just throwing shit at a wall and seeing what sticks right now. And that's why trying to base the exercise off of some information, even if we don't agree with the mock necessarily or the landing spots of the players in these mocks. That's why it's useful exercise, but it's difficult to do this because I'm not taking any of these tight ends. Let's just assume A-Chain, Charbonnet, Kenny McIntosh, Zach Evans go in the third round. I'm taking them probably in this spot over a tight end. And especially, don't even come to me with the tight end in just your standard PPR league. And I know a lot of people don't play in TEP, but if you're just in a PPR league, I'm not taking no tight end in the second round, period. Period, Jay. Not happening, right? Especially not one of these tight. Now, you know, maybe you go number 4 overall, a la Kyle Pitts. Maybe I'll think differently. But, all right, so for the sake of this, because we don't have much besides Luke Musgrave and Sam Laporta, which I'm damn sure not taking here at that, putting him as a top 15 player. Where do you want to go? Call your shot. I'm kind of with you with Kenny McIntosh being the third running back off of the board. I'm kind of.
I think he has to be at the back of the second, and then you see like the more traditional running backs go top of the third. So it just depends on where he gets drafted, but he could be for sure.
All right,
but that top of the third's been good for running backs in the past couple of years. So,
all right, based off of this mock, let's just run through the top. We went Bijan, Stroud, Bryce, Levis, and Richardson as the top 5. Addison as the first receiver off the board. We got him at 6 on the big board. I moved QJ up. I don't think you would have QJ at 7. You would still like Gibbs over Quentin Johnston, right?
I'd put him probably down near 9 or 10.
Down, you want to? Oh shit, my bad. You'd put Gibbs at 9 or 10?
No, not Gibbs. I'd have QJ down around like 8 or 9.
Really?
Yeah, man. I'm probably not drafting him much. I'll get him in a few spots where I have, you know, some later picks or a lot of picks to diversify. But if I'm making one selection, I am probably not taking QJ with that selection, especially if he goes to Baltimore.
I can't believe you are so anti Quentin Johnston, man. I didn't expect this from you, Jay.
Ray, I've never had any Rashad Bateman for the same reason. I don't want to mess with that situation. I don't think it's as good as people think it's going to be. I just don't like it. I just don't. And so if you're telling me I can get JSN in a team that has produced 2 wide receivers, you can get Jalen Hyatt in an offense that has produced talented players playing for Brian Daboll, a situation that we like a lot, right? Jordan Addison, wide receiver 1 off the board, 12th overall, going to Houston, probably going to be the wide receiver 1, versus a cloudy situation, maybe with a quarterback, maybe not with a quarterback.
Right.
It's tough.
All right, so we're going to build. We got Gibbs at 8, okay? We got Gibbs at 8.
Yeah.
We got Jackson Smith-Njigba at 9, right? We're gonna build this out, lock it in. We're gonna save this board. We're gonna save it and revisit it, Jay. So we got Jackson Smith-Njigba at 9, and then you got Jalen Hyatt at 10, right? We're going Jalen Hyatt at 10.
Yep.
Okay, Jalen Hyatt at 10. So we got Gibbs, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Hyatt at 10. I made the executive decision to put QJ at 7. I'm not as worried about it as you. Now let's go 11. Let's go there. That's our top 10.
Would be Downs, right? Would probably be next based off this mock. Would you put Downs over Flowers? Downs in Atlanta versus Flowers in Chicago was the next 2 we were contemplating, unless we were going running back, of course.
I kind of like Zay with Fields, man.
Okay. I mean, he went 35th overall. I'm kind of toss up between the 2.
Okay. I got Zay at 11, and then you want to go Downs at 12?
I think that's where we go next, yeah.
Okay, Downs at 12. Now, I'm going to give you the option. We got our top 12 build out. Do you want to take Kenny McIntosh here ahead of a Rashee Rice, ahead of a Tyler Scott, ahead of who else do we have? Hendon Hooker, who we didn't talk any about. Do you want to reach and take a guess on who that third running back off the board is going to be? You want to do that at 13?
I think it would probably be, we'll put Kenny there. I think it's just more of a placeholder. It's going to be a running back.
Would you take Kenny over a back of the second round Rashee Rice?
If he goes in the back of the second, yes. I think he'll be going to a good team, right? So if he's in the back of the second, and then I know that Rashee is going to Jacksonville, where I don't see a situation coming for him anytime soon. So I would probably be willing to take Kenny there.
Scott Connor, my boy Scott, and this is why I said, that's why I made the distinction. I was like, a back of the second wide receiver. Scott said this is the range where you almost stop taking wide receivers entirely.
Yeah.
Okay. Kenny, and then you want to go back to the running back or do you want to go Rashee Rice or Tyler?
Yeah, I think I'd go Kenny, A-Chain, and then 15th, I'd probably put Hendon Hooker.
Really, Jay? Talk about that one.
Again, this is based off the mock.
Based off the
Geno
mock.
Smith coming back for a year.
Okay,
Then you get
Hendon.
Hendon Hooker, right? In Seattle with Jack Smith-Njigba, with DK Metcalf. It's actually a pretty good landing spot. You got Kenneth Walker there. They can take a year, like coming into next season, take another, guard, tackle, bolster the offensive line a little bit. I think that, it's not a bad spot. We are kind of out on Hooker to some degree, but if you're telling me that I'm taking a round 3 running back over a second round quarterback that's in a pretty good landing spot with weapons, I could see a scenario where taking him 15 isn't that bad.
So
isn't that bad.
Let's have an honest conversation about A-Chain, because there's no doubt about it. He has world-class level of speed. I know a lot of people throw that out there, but he's one of the fastest athletes in America, period. I mean, all SEC sprinter. He's fast. You watch the tape, dude. He looks so much bigger than what he's listed at. He's physical. Yeah. He produced in the SEC. Even last year, there were people like, he's the better running back between him and Isaiah Spiller. We know he's going to run fast. We know he's going to be athletic. We know he can catch the ball. He's got home run speed. What will make you out? What is going to happen that you're just like, I want no part of A-Chain?
I genuinely don't think that outcome exists unless he is a 4th rounder, right? If he slips,
he's listed at 5'8". He's listed at 5'9", 180, 185 is what he's listed at. 180.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I would fade the speed because of the size. Again, it depends on cost, obviously, but I'm not a guy who's like, oh, I can't take this player because he's 160 pounds, right? Like, that's how you end up fading Devonta Smith. Yeah, you'll fade other guys. You'll fade Tutu Atwell, but I think it's a little bit different at running back. You can get creative with a running back out of the backfield, and if he can, at the end of the day, you're just handing him the ball, and so you're just praying he doesn't get hurt. He doesn't have much of an injury history at A&M, at whatever weight he's playing at. So, I think there's a reason to trust him in that way. How high you take him is up to you, but I don't think there's a world where I'm just absolutely out on A-Chain unless he's like, a Kyron Williams level of fall from grace to like a 6th round pick. And then it's like, okay.
That's not happening.
That's what I'm saying, right? So, again, is there a weight that you'd be like, I'm out when you know how fast the dude is? Like, it's tough for me to fade a guy that fast because we know the speed kills in the NFL regardless of whatever weight you are. It's receiver where I kind of want the mass to take the hits. But if you're playing in the SEC,
what hits, man? This is flag football now that we're playing. No one's getting hit in the NFL. And listen,
I don't think I could be out. I really don't.
What if he's 5'7", 170?
Plays running back. I legitimately don't care. It's just if he was 5'7", 170 and playing receiver, I'd be like, okay, that dude's pretty limited in the NFL. If you're handing him the ball in the backfield, okay, just take the time, bulk up, do whatever you got to do to play running back in the NFL. But I just trust the speed. And, you see even the rushing ability in the SEC. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. So I think you could trust him no matter what weight he's at. It's just, what does his usage look like in the NFL? And I don't think we're drafting him to be some 3-down running back.
Right. You're not. I think A-Chain, man, if you get that dude 11 to 14 touches a game, it could be beautiful, man. It could be beautiful for fantasy.
And creativity in the passing game as well, right? Like, he could run a screen and he could run little out routes and stuff. He'll be good.
I just turned it on the tape, Jay. And you turn on the tape, and the film score for me was the second highest just on film. That doesn't include any analytical data points. I'm just looking at the film and grading off the film. That's not the final grade. It's not the final ranking. But I turn on the tape, and I don't think you can sell me that if you just watch Devon A-Chain and Jahmyr Gibbs play football, that Gibbs was a better runner than A-Chain. I don't see it, man. I don't see it. And I love Jahmyr Gibbs. One point I was like, he's RB1 in 2023, like 2 years ago. And obviously, no, he's not RB1. It's Bijan. But you turn on the tape, and I had a conversation with my boy Jay Wack from Dynasty Nerd, and he texted me, and he was like, am I insane for saying that Gibbs, that A-Chain is closer to Gibbs than Gibbs is close to or better than Gibbs just on tape? Just that's it. That is not my final running back rank. Is none of that. I need capital. I need to see some other data points, but I'm just watching them play football, and Devon Achane does way more for me. His contact balance is better. He's got more burst and acceleration. It doesn't mean Gibbs is slow. Gibbs said he's going to go out there and run a 4.32. Gibbs is better in the receiving game, no doubt, but you just turn it on, the footwork, the contact balance, the explosiveness. Achane is incredible. I'm actually going to do a film breakdown of him soon. Somebody said, Reese said, Achane Hines with sex appeal. That's you know what, man? A lot of people see this, Reese, and they'll shit on it, right? Ew, Naheem Hines. I mean, I like it, man, because we got to stop with Jamal Charles and Barry Sanders and Walter Payton and Jim Brown. Because
CJ2K.
Yeah, right. Chris Johnson. Let's just name the highest end players. Like, maybe that's what he is. Naheem Hines, but a little bit better. I'm just on the tape. He's a better running back on tape, film score, than Jahmyr Gibbs. All right, Hendon Hooker at 15, Jay. Let's go 20. Let's go 20. We're going to break down Zach Evans tonight. And I know I don't think Zach Evans is a top 3 back in this class, right? I don't think he's a top 5 back in this class. But he's not bad. Like, he's a runway running. He's big, he's physical, and if you give him a lane, he's probably going to hammer it home. Like, he's not a shifty creator. That's just not his game. He's not a dynamic pass catcher. That's just not his game, and that's okay. But if you just turn around and hand him the ball, and there's a hole, he's going to hit it pretty hard, and he's probably going to punish the defender on the other side of it. So I think Evans is probably a 3rd or 4th round pick in the NFL draft. Charbonnet, same kind of guy. I know we love Zach Charbonnet. You want to go Charbs here at 16 on the board?
I probably would, yeah, based off of what we've seen on tape from Charbonnet.
Okay.
He's just a guy that I'm just very comfortable taking in this range. We talked about Kendre Miller as well, another player we're very comfortable taking in this range.
I love him,
right?
Jay. I don't see Kendre anywhere.
Yeah.
I love
It's scary, man. We love all these running backs, but they don't get this 2nd round capital that really would separate them from the 3rd rounders.
Do you think
don't see it ever.
Do you think that because it is a deep running back class? Think about it. We haven't even talked about Evan Hull, Tajay Spears, Izzy Abanikanda.
Yep.
We haven't talked about any of these guys. Do you think that the fact that the running back class is deep, teams will say, I'm not spending a 2nd round pick on a running back?
Yeah, for sure. This is a game of positional advantages, right?
Down? Yeah.
We have a cluster of probably 6 or 7 guys that, depending on your offensive scheme, would fit in differently, but you have 2 or 3 options here where you don't have to go with that guy in the 2nd round. You can take an edge rusher, a corner, which is very deep in this class, or potentially an offensive lineman to take someone to bolster your offensive line there. There's a lot of ways you could go. And even the receivers, right, in the 2nd round, they dwindle off quickly. There's options, but they dwindle off quickly. And so you think about what we're looking at, and I think it's the same thing with running back. There's a lot of guys. We saw it in 2020, thought all these guys would go 1st round. They all went 2nd round, right? And I think the same thing's going to be true. They're not quite as talented, but they're all going to go like late 2nd, 3rd round.
I just want to blame Scott Connor right now. I'm going to blame Scott Connor. Go find him at Charles and Chill. He has completely gotten me nervous about drafting 3rd round wide receivers. So I'm looking and I'm thinking, okay, Kayshon Boutte. Who else was good at the Senior Bowl? Tank Dell. Who else was fucking good there? Yeah. Xavier Hutch. I'm just like...
Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, all those guys, yeah.
I can't take any of those guys. Like Rashee Rice, I feel like needs to be on here somewhere, man. I mean, goddamn it, he was in the 2nd round, but Scott's got me terrified of 3rd round wide receivers right now. So I'm going to put Rice here, and then Jay, I'm just going to call the shot. Now that we're at, 7-18 on the big board...
Tight end, baby.
No, man. I'm telling you it's going to happen, man. I know Scott, me and him talked, and he said it'd be insane if somebody spent the 2nd round pick on this running back. I don't know if he's going to get drafted in the 2nd, but I don't think he's falling to day 3. And that was the riser of all risers, Tajay Spears out of Tulane. He's going into my top 20.
He was good.
He's going to test well. He's 205 pounds at 5'9 and a quarter, almost 5'10", 205. He's going to be a day 2 pick. Book it. Lock that in. He's going to be a day 2 pick. I think inside this top 20 range, what's 18? Like
206.
206? We'll put
It's a fine
Tajay.
spot.
It's fine. It's fine.
There's a lot
right?
of running backs that we don't know where to rank them yet, but talent-wise, Tajay is up there with the Kendrays, with even a Zach Evans, right? Like there's a lot of talent there, but we're never gonna know where to put them until we get the draft capital for them.
You want to go Musgrave here at this point?
Would you take Musgrave or Mayer?
Mayer's in Cincy.
Mayer's in Cincy, Musgrave's in Green Bay, Kincaid's in Houston.
Mayer. I want Burrow. I want
Yeah.
Burrow. I want Burrow.
Yeah.
I want Burrow.
And you're just praying T. Higgins leaves. Opens up some targets for your tight end there, which would be good.
We don't.
Would you take Musgrave in the second?
We're not praying T. Higgins leaves. I'm not praying for that personally, but I mean, Mayer would be fine in Cincy. It would help their offensive front because he's a fantastic blocker. We see Hayden Hurst getting used in Cincinnati, so I don't want to pray for Higgins. I want to keep T with Burrow. At 20, where are you going? So you got Musgrave with Jordan Love. We can go Tyler Scott, who, let's be honest, none of us know anything about him. Joe Marino from the Draft Network scouted him yesterday and said he's pretty good. He's very fast, so we know speed kills, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Or do you want to have a conversation about Sean Tucker?
I'd probably take Kendra over him. Not knowing landing spot. If I'm picking a guy, I'm probably
If you
taking
got to pick
Kendra
right
over
now,
Sean
you
Tucker.
got to pick right now. Kendre over Tucker?
I think so, yeah. I think I'm taking Kendra over Tucker if I'm just picking a guy. Where are you at? Would you go Sean Tucker over Kendra?
I have Kendre graded on the film higher than Sean Tucker. Here's my fear with Kendre Miller, man. My fear is he messed up his MCL in that college football playoff game.
Yeah.
What if he's not 100%? He goes out there at the combine and just does it not 100% and he tests horribly. Like, I just don't want that to happen. I'm just a little fearful that he goes out there and performs at less than 100% and performs like shit and it just tanks his draft stock. I'd rather him not do anything, be healthy, do everything at his pro day, opposed to go out there and be 60%. And I don't know. I don't know anything about his injury. I haven't seen anything. I just know it was an MCL. I don't know if he's 100%. I would hope by the time the combine, even if he's 100% by the combine, we know he hasn't been able to train at 100% capacity. So that's my only fear with Kendre. That's my only fear. But you turn on the tape, the dude is crazy good, right? Incredible. So I like Kendre Miller, man.
2 months of recovery probably isn't quite enough. He probably would be healthy, but like you said, can he actually train for the event in the way that he needs to in order to succeed at it? You know, the way that A-Chain's probably just built for the 40, right? He could probably just walk into the 40, run 4.3.
Man, everybody's talking about how bad this class is. There's a lot of good players, and there's a lot of good players. We only went 20 deep, Jay. I mean, think about this. After the Big Ten, you got Flowers, Downs, McIntosh, A-Chain, Hooker, Charbonnet, Rice, Spears, Mayer, Kendre. We didn't take no Sean Tucker, no Zach Evans, no Luke Musgrave, this is Cedric Tillman. This is a good class. Like, there may not be a plethora of blue chip, superstar, BAM tier difference makers, but if you're telling me with the 20th pick in my rookie draft, I can get Kendre Miller, with the 21st pick, I can get Dalton Kincaid or Luke Musgrave or Tajay Spears or an Eric Gray or whomever, man. I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty excited about this class, and I think the narratives out there that this is a bad class are severely overrated. They're overblown, and I think you're going to get a lot of good players in the second and third round of rookie drafts this year. It's a good class, man.
Yeah, I think what people need to take away from this exercise more than anything else, Ray, is actually not necessarily the players, but I think the top 10 is really solid. I think what we built for a top 10 based off this mock, you should expect some order of these players, right? That part has been very consistent throughout the mock draft process, and these are the guys we've seen kind of in the top 10. But when you get to the next few spots, I would look at it more from these are the positions and kind of the order we expect them to fall in. Yes, Kenny McIntosh may not be your RB3, but we expect there to be an RB right around that spot. So if you're telling me you're getting your RB5, RB6, and we like probably, 10 to 12 RBs in this class, at 18, at 19, like that's a pretty good spot for a talented running back. And so that's when we say this class is deep, I think we're talking about these positions and these players will move, but taking a running back at 13, at 14, at 15 is going to be a good spot and a valuable pick for you. So that's why having those early seconds will be valuable, not necessarily because you want Kenny McIntosh, but you want the RB3, you want the RB4 in this draft class, whoever that player ultimately ends up becoming.
All right, man. It is a thunderstorm of epic proportions outside, so my fucking internet's probably going to start acting crazy in a second. Rico hit us with a super chat. He said, will any wide receiver participate in the 3-cone drill at the Combine? Oh, yeah. Josh Downs is going to look great in that. Flowers is going to smash that.
Do you think they will? None of them do it last year?
I think they changed the schedule this year. I think they changed the order of when they do that crap, so I think it happens, like, earlier in the day. I know that, like, bench press, I think they removed some of that. Like, they changed some stuff around for how the events are conducted this year, so I would think so. Especially if they run fast. Why not? And some of these receivers will look really good doing it. You know, it was Cold World just said it. It was the schedule, man. Like, they did that at the end of the night. It was like 10 o'clock at night when they did that crap. So they're like, I'm not doing this. So I think they switched it around. So I would say yes, they would do it. And then I see some people talking about Reese said the narrative that it's a bad rookie class is by those who traded away their picks, just want to be contrarian. And then I saw Joe talking about MCL. I don't know about MCLs and the injury, but I would just hope he's healthy by the time when he performs. Kendre Miller, that is, because he's a fantastic running back. But there we go. You can go to TDN as well, you guys, and build your own big board. I'd love to see him. If you build a big board of 10 or 20, and like I said, you can play around with these players in the order. If you guys build a big board, send them to the Wake Up Show, man. We'd love to talk about them and take a look at your guys' custom big boards that you all have built out, and you can save them and do all that other stuff. But appreciate y'all tapping in today, man. We got the GOAT. We got Michelle Adoro. Yes, Michelle Adoro. Go to MichelleAdoroUSA.com. Use the promo code WAKEUP. 15% off of the best damn coffee that you're going to get. Make sure you go there. Use the promo code WAKEUP for 15% off. Get you some of that Michelle Adoro coffee. Jay, anything you want to say before we get out of here? Newsletter, link in the description. Check out Matt Miller's full mock. What else, baby?
Tomorrow, I was on Off the Line last night, and we will be dropping Super Bowl props. So on Off the Line, Super Bowl prop show, that'll be a good show. It was fun. Talked to Gene and Ike. Shout out to them for having me on the show yesterday. So I will be on that, which will drop tomorrow morning on the DD radio feed. And of course, always check out the newsletter. Check out Scott's pods. Check out Eric. Check out Mike and Adam.